The chain restaurant method with guesstimating.
Boom.
This is one of the most useful techniques and methods out there. So we are super excited to share this with you if you don't already know it. And even if you know it, we're about to blow your minds even more. All right. So what exactly is it? Well, it's when you use a chain restaurant's nutrition info to guesstimate the facts of a dish that's similar when
Yep.
you're going to go out to eat, right?
Whether it's at a different restaurant, maybe it's a mom and pop or something that doesn't have nutrition facts, or maybe even at a friend's house, right?
Yep.
Similar dishes.
Yep. So let's talk about some helpful scenarios. Well, there's, you go to an American diner, like you said, like mom and pop shop, we're talking like breakfast, maybe pancakes, burgers, fried chicken, sandwiches, Mexican, tacos, fajitas, some of those desserts like the fried ice cream, Italian and pizza. This is a big one, not just the deep dish ones, but Detroit pasta, Asian, like the
Oh,
teppanyaki,
oh,
yaki style, like Benihana, or even Chinese food. Even barbecue. Barbecue is a phenomenal one as well. Steak, seafood houses, donuts, ice cream. Like it is literally anything and everything you can utilize the chain restaurant method if there's a chain that has nutrition facts, right?
yep. And most of the time there is, it may take a little bit of time to find it or think outside the box. I know a lot of times one of the questions that we get asked or hear or see all the time is, oh, well, I like this little place. It's just a single location, like we talked about, mom and pop shop, or I love this. It's right around the corner for me, but it's only one shop. I don't like going to Denny's or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So you can still utilize the big chain's nutrition for when you go out to eat at your favorite spot.
Yep. And then even like randomly, sometimes some of these little mom and pop shops, like they actually do have nutrition facts if you take a moment to look. That is
Yep.
not guaranteed, but I have found that some of them do. So let's talk about some things to know. Well, like when it comes to identifying and searching like for what it is you're going to be eating, like how do you figure out which chain restaurant to use or what does that even mean? So some simple steps would basically be like Google searching, like, hello, Google is out there. So Google search your dish, or you can actually even search like inside of your nutrition tracker for ideas. So for instance, like what are you eating? Like, are you going, I'm gonna get a chicken parmesan. And so if you search Google like chicken parmesan nutrition facts, and we'll go over some examples with that. Or if you search your nutrition tracker, oftentimes there will be places where it's like chicken parmesan and then it'll say cheesecake factory. And you're like, oh, they have a chicken parmesan at cheesecake factory. And then Google search a similar restaurant. So like if you don't know a restaurant, then just like either search the dish or search a restaurant or whatever. So you could do like Italian restaurant nutrition facts, Italian chain restaurants. Like you just kind of have to get a little creative when you are searching.
Yeah, it's critically thinking and then looking for the answer that you're searching for.
Yep. And so then basically find a chain restaurant, find a similar dish, check out their photos. What does it actually look like? And then how much are you eating of it, right? And so this is kind of, we'll say like a step-by-step method, but once again, critically think. This is all about using that little noggin and trying to figure out, hey, I'm going to eat this. How can I account for the facts in a way that like is relatively simple and makes sense?
Yeah,
So
it's a problem solving skill.
yeah. So searching the dish, searching the restaurant, what are you getting? Social media is a great tool as well. I will talk about that momentarily. And then how much are you eating of it so that you can guesstimate it into your intake? So here's an example of breakfast using the chain restaurant method. So let's talk about pancakes.
Boom.
So these were some lemon ricotta pancakes. They were fabulous and they were also pretty big. We did not expect them to be as big as they were, even though we had seen how big they
Yep.
were.
Acceptable cake for breakfast.
Yep. So a couple of things like when you are thinking about guesstimating in general, and especially like particular foods, like for instance, pancakes, is what is going to make up the calories? Well, how big the pancake is, right? And so like, is it take up the whole plate? Are they little tiny like silver dollar pancakes? And yes, you can kind of gauge based on the plate and pictures, but like sometimes it's one of those like, hey, is this pancake, is this similar to a Coke can or a coffee cup or whatever, to give you a gauge or perspective to help in giving you kind of like, all right, a 10-inch pancake is probably around 600 calories or whatever it is as you start to do your research.
Yeah, and this is something that you don't need to necessarily bring a scale or a
No,
measuring
no, no,
tape to
no.
all your restaurants. But like she said, something that's relative, oh, like a Coke can, you start to eye things. If you want some, similar to some of the things that we've talked about in the past, you can use like, oh, like hold up your hands, like, oh, this one's a little bit bigger in my hand, smaller in my hand. Like as you build this skill to be able to know for form of reference moving forward.
Yep. And then obviously, like, what's it topped with? Is there any fillings or anything? Because like those will add calories to it. And so what we did first was like you can search for meals. So using Google, like lemon ricotta pancake nutrition facts, and then you can see kind of what populates. First Watch is one of the ones. It's also a great place. They have nutrition facts as well. They are delicious too, even though
Yep.
they are a chain. You can even search lemon ricotta pancake chain restaurants. Once again, you can see kind of what populates. First Watch is another one that had populated up here. Even this is what it would look like to search MyFitnessPal, searching lemon ricotta pancakes. So like you want to be specific, but not too specific in order to populate some type of results when searching.
And I think sometimes where people find that the struggle is they will search for a dish and then they'll also search for it at the specific restaurant. It's like, oh, well, they don't have it at this little restaurant or whatever. So it's like, all right, especially in the nutrition tracker, like she said, being specific, but a little bit more broad. So that way you can pull in entries from other places and use them for where you're going.
Yep. And so you can see like on here, so there's like lemon blueberry goat cheese pancakes at Another Broken Egg. And so we can see like we know because we've been there and we've heard of them from searching that Another Broken Egg has nutrition facts. And then you can also see there's, hey, it looks like there's some lemon ricotta pancakes at Cheesecake Factory. Oh, and guess what? First Watch also pops up on here.
Boom.
But you can see that there's also varying calories. So you're like, what the fuck? What do I pick? I have no idea. So then guess what? You also need to search your images. But we have created inside the Guesstimator and inside the Guestimations course, there's all types of PDFs that with nutrition facts and also like online estimators that you can find. So here's a couple different options like hello, international house of pancakes. Like they have nutrition facts. So you could see like, do they have something that would be similar to what I would be consuming? Same thing, First Watch, Marie Callender's, Cheesecake Factory. These are just some diner examples that you could utilize the menu and nutrition facts for when you're going out to eat.
And once again, like we've talked about, like I know a lot of this seems like a lot of information, but kind of take it one step at a time, try a little bit, test it out, see what feels best and works the best for you. Because obviously you could spend minutes, hours, weeks diving deep into this, but you don't need to stress yourself out going crazy. It's just find the answer and the way of doing this that makes the most sense for you and improve the skill over time.
Yeah. And it's like all of this is it's literally it's like let me logically think about like what makes up the calories and how could I find the calories for something.
Yep.
Like there's always a way. And so this was the example of like searching images because the images can see like, ooh, is this heavily topped? Are these massive fucking pancakes? Like, what do these pancakes look like? So I can see like, does that seem like an appropriate guess for what I would be consuming?
And that also help you bridge the gap potential. It's like, oh, like why some of these are so low in calories, why
Yep.
some are so high in calories. Because without the image, it was like, well, what's the difference? How is there
Yep.
1,000 calorie swing? It's like, oh, well, this one's bigger than my head and is topped with everything.
Exactly.
This other one is tiny.
Yeah. And so, for instance, these are the First Watch pancakes, and it's funny because I actually like I didn't know that they were so big. Like we had them in person, but it had been years ago, and I think they were probably like a good 10, 12 inches, maybe a little bit bigger. And then when I had recently called the restaurant, the owner was like, "I have no idea." Like,
They're as big as a plate.
yeah, like, well, how big's the plate? He's like, I don't know.
Pretty big.
So
Pretty big.
yeah. So these are two big pancakes. He guessed that they were probably 12 to 14 inches, but just because like the diameter is big doesn't necessarily mean that the density is there. But regardless, we have some type of nutrition facts for these pancakes. So these came in at 12.50 for two large pancakes. That included the toppings. And then we got Cheesecake Factory. Okay, so like is this looking similar to what we were going to be consuming at our non-nutrition fact place? Okay, well, these lemon ricottas, apparently Cheesecake Factory pancakes are around 6 inches. That's questionable, but like looking at the information and kind of like searching the facts, it was like, oh, hey, Cheesecake Factory, because they want to control costs, they typically make about 6-inch pancakes. But three pancakes from them came in at 1740 on the calories. Now, if we took 1740 and divided it by 3 pancakes, that gives us about 580 calories per pancake. And if we multiplied that by 2, we got around 1160 for 2 pancakes, which would be similar to the previous calories before, just maybe a little bit smaller for what you were getting. And then looking at the another broken egg, these were the lemon blueberry goat cheese pancakes. It's coming in around 700 calories. You get 3 pancakes there. Those look like maybe they're around 5-6 inches. We got Perkins. So these are just plain blueberry pancakes. These aren't lemon ricotta. These aren't anything. They're just blueberry pancakes. And for 3 of these little pancakes, they're coming in at 520. So once again, with any of this, it's like, okay, the pancakes that I'm getting, they're probably bigger. They look like they're going to be a little heftier. They're lemon ricotta. Ricotta is probably going to add up the fat a little bit more. So like, which entry are you going to do? Like, it's always better to overestimate than it is to, we'll say, like, underestimate, especially depending on what your goals are.
Yeah.
And so, for instance, we decided like, hey, it looks like the Cheesecake Factory, they're the highest amount of calories. They look pretty similar. How much am I going to eat? Well, I'm going to eat half. He's going to eat the other half. So we take the 1740 calories for the total platter. We divide it by 2, and I'm going to consume probably around 870 calories for half the platter.
Yep. And the goal with picking a few different entries or doing a little bit of research is so that you can have more data points to choose from, right? Because obviously, if you would have just picked one from the beginning, it could have been
the 500-calorie option.
Yeah, it could have been high or low. And like we've talked about before, who knows? Every time you do this, if you want, maybe you can look up 1 or 2 spots. And then next time you go out, look up another 1 or 2 spots and then gather more information as you do this. So that way you can get better and better at this.
Yep.
And once again, sounds like a lot, but with the skills that you guys have and with how long you've been doing it, a lot of this will be done second nature and subconsciously as you think because you look at food a little bit differently.
Yep. And then, of course, add any additional syrups or toppings that you add, because in these facts, those aren't necessarily accounted for. We have randomly brought sugar-free syrup, but IHOP supposedly has sugar-free syrup, right?
Yep.
Over there.
Yep. I think it would like we've brought like calorie-free syrup, but then IHOP and Denny's, I think they had like I think they may not know it's sugar-free, but I think if you ask them for diabetic syrup, then they'll bring you the like carries or their version of a sugar-free syrup.
So it's way lower in calories. It's like 20 calories for like 2 tablespoons or something.
So a little trick. If they may not know, but ask if you do you have diabetic syrup, they'll bring you the good stuff.
But check out our next lesson and we will dive into another example.